So, how does it feel when you play Roll Up to Win with Tim Hortons? Buy a hot or cold beverage using the Tim's app and find out. Roll in the app for a chance to win prizes ranging from free coffee and donuts to a Universal Orlando resort vacation or a sweet car. Oh, don't forget the TV. And this year, every roll is a shot at a $1,000 daily giveaway drawing for two $500 prizes. Roll up to win and get treated by Tim's. No purchase necessary. Account registration required. 50 U.S. and D.C. 18 plus entered by 4/2/23. See rules at rolluptowin.com for free entry or full details. Void in Florida and where prohibited.
Did you know that 92% of households that join Peloton early in the year are still active a year later?
92% for a bike?
We actually make a rower, too.
Who actually knows how to row?
Well, our Form Assist feature can teach you how to row. Cool, huh? Whether it's a scenic row in Mission Bay, San Diego, or an intro to rowing class, Peloton has a class for you. 92% stick with it. So can you. Try the Peloton Row risk-free with a 30-day home trial. New members only. Not available in remote locations. See additional terms at onepeloton.com/home-trial.
Hey kids, do you like wrestling? Well, we like wrestling too. We are Shake Them Ropes here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Myself and Chris Novembrino kind of doing a lazy river of wrestling criticism, going through the news and whatever happened in stateside television wrestling. And also, you know what? Sometimes we just like to watch old stuff and talk about that too. Love for you to give us a listen. If you haven't already, we are Shake Them Ropes here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network.
Hola, hola, my name is Ricardo. I am the host of the Lucha Jovers podcast here in the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. We are a Spanish-speaking show dedicated to discussing and analyzing pro wrestling from all across the world. From AEW to CMLL, we talk about American wrestling, Japanese wrestling, and of course, Lucha Libre. If something big happened in the pro wrestling world, we will talk about it. So if you know Spanish or have a friend that knows Spanish or want to practice your Lucha Libre pronunciations, go listen to the Lucha Jovers podcast right here in the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. Nos vemos por ahí.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the same.
What? Where are we?
Welcome to this was a milestone one as well. David, this is episode 250, and I've ruined it. This is supposed to be a big one.
You were thinking to 250 shows, you'd know what the name of the fucking show was, Joel.
I know, I've done this literally 250 times. You'd think by this point I would have been able to nail the opener, but
nope.
It goes to show, doesn't it?
Well, you gave it your best shot. You know what I mean? You gave it your best shot. I appreciate
We could have re-recorded it, but I don't respect the listeners enough to go to that effort.
No, we're not re-recording. We are plowing forward. That is for sure. All right. You want to try it again?
No.
No, we can do it right now. I'm not hitting stop, should I say. We can re-record the opening, but I'm not hitting stop.
I'm not re-recording the opening. No, they don't deserve it. Why?
All right. I love it.
Fine. It's good enough.
You know where you're at.
I said Super J-Cast, didn't I?
Right. And, everything's, you know where you're at. Listen, don't get all high and mighty, listener. You're the one that pressed the button, all right? You know where you are, right? Okay.
And I do have some bad news, actually, for the listeners, because unfortunately, due to some politically controversial statements I've made, Red Circle have removed me from Super J-Cast co-hosting duties. Damon has also decided to step back in solidarity. The entire New Japan Pro Wrestling roster have also declined to be interviewed. So in lieu of analysis or interviews, we were planning to just play some highlights of the recent matches, but TVSI have pulled the plug on that too. So today's Super J-Cast is just going to be 1 hour and 46 minutes of silence.
I'm sure everyone's thrilled with that too.
That's a little joke there. That's me riffing off the situation in the UK with Gary Lineker and Match of the Day. So if you're not aware of that, then go and educate yourselves, because it's quite interesting, I think.
Yeah, I mean, do you want me to give the synopsis of what I just learned, or would you?
No, you're in the loop, Damon. You're a clued up man. You know you went on top of international events.
Yeah. So here's the situation. Gentleman, former football player. What was the guy's name?
Gary Lineker.
Okay, all right. Has tweeted out a statement due to a policy that I guess doesn't grant citizenship, or I don't know. What you got to help me there.
It was refuses to grant asylum to people who arrive to the UK in small boats.
Right. So the BBC got all fucking hot under the collar. And
the massive Tory apologists that they are.
Yeah, well, listen, they're it's it's what do you expect? It's a government-run entity, isn't it? Booted the guy, and then his co-workers.
It's not supposed to be government run. It's supposed to be a non-governmental organization.
Really?
Yeah.
He could have fooled me. All right. Anywho. In a great move of solidarity. Solidarity is what it's all about. Sticking by your coworkers and friends, and if they're doing the right thing, of course. And then they all left, like all the other broadcasters on that show left, walked out. Football players and managers and coaches and all the like, not speaking to them. And everyone else. Everyone's like, fuck you. We're sticking by our guy. And the show, the highlight show that they run, they just decided to run highlights. Literally that. No commentary to the highlights. Just how long is the show? About half an hour?
Usually it's like an hour and a half, but this one was a lot shorter. I think it was just about 20 minutes. But here's the funny thing. The viewing figures were up by 500,000. Like they hit record numbers of viewers. I mean, it was just out of curiosity.
Sure.
But, or maybe it's not. Maybe people just genuinely want to watch a highlight show where there's no commentary, no interviews, and no analysis whatsoever. It's probably why people like listen to this podcast.
Yeah, right. Let me tell you something.
We don't do any of those things.
No, we don't. Please, we're the worst. I would say that my least favorite thing about sports is we call them the talking head show, where they get like maybe like old coaches and old players and just pundits screaming at you over sports. It's the worst, and they know nothing, and nothing they say is ever really accurate. Oh, wait a minute. I got food. My food has arrived. Very good. Thank you, Cheryl.
All right. What we got?
I have, we got some takeout. We got some, I have a bagel sandwich, egg, bacon, and cheese, and a delicious half and half, half lemonade, half iced tea. Delicious.
Isn't there a name for that drink? Lemonade and iced tea?
Arnold Palmer, if I'm not mistaken.
That's it. Yes. I drank a lot of Arnold Palmers during the lockdown.
Now, do you know who Arnold Palmer is?
He was a sex offender. No, I don't know who he was.
Jesus. No. Not that I'm aware of. He was a famous golfer. Golf.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
There's going to be more to that.
Yeah, that's it. No, he's just
famous golfer and a bit of rustling.
Like he's well, the rustling is me getting my fucking sandwich out of the bag because I'm starving. How's that? Is that annoying everybody?
That's some great ASMR content for the podcast.
All right.
For our 250th episode, listeners rubbing their hands together. What have Joel and Damon got planned for this auspicious occasion? A rustling bag.
Yes, sir. Yeah, yes, sir. All right, so yeah, that's that story. So there you go. Hey, Joel, where do you want to go first? Because we have a lot to cover with the newest Japan Cup,
or the new Japan Puck, as Tsuchiko Okada accidentally called it.
I know.
Kenta ran with that, and now that's it. Everyone's calling it the new Japan Puck, and we will be no different. I thought, like, rather than going match by match, because there have been quite a few matches since we last spoke, I have separated this into Stonks up and Stonks hold / down. There was going to be Stonks up, Stonks hold, and Stonks down, but then I figured that would actually take longer than discussing all the individual matches. So part 1 is going to be Stonks up, and part 2 is going to be Stonks hold / down. So it's not as catchy, but hopefully it will make sense.
I love it. I'm eating my bagel right now.
Fantastic. Okay, so my first stop in the Stonks up sphere is I'd like to talk about David Finlay. The rebel. Okay. Everybody needs a rebel, David Finlay, who made his appearance on... I mean, who cares what that was? Basically, he beat Ishii in the first round in a match that went 18 minutes, 40 seconds. And this, of course, notable because he came out having joined Bullet Club with Gedo, the blacksmith, as his hype man. So, but this is interesting because I kind of feel that there might have been a more dramatic way to reveal that he was joining Bullet Club. But, I mean, as it happens, it's fine. I don't have a huge problem with it. It was just a little bit unusual that it was just like he came out and like, hey, I'm in the Bullet Club now and here's Gedo. But got a good reaction from the audience. And my biggest takeaway from this is I'm really impressed actually at how Finlay settled into the role so quickly, because a lot of other wrestlers, if they turn heel, it takes them a while to figure it out. If you're working a completely different style, and David Finlay for most of his New Japan career has been working the underdog babyface style, very sort of high energy and high intensity, and they flipping that to what he did against Ishii, I thought was really impressive, because we had a question from Ara Method. He said, what do you think Finlay's match with Ishii says about his heel character? Do you think he's not going to rely on cheating to win like Jay did? And yeah, that was the biggest thing that struck me. Gedo didn't interfere at all. And I know he's got the shillelagh and he's hitting people with that, but that's not happening during the matches. I mean, he might do it during the matches. I'm not going to hold my breath. But I just liked the way that, I know a lot of people were saying, oh, look at the look with the dyed beard and dyed eyebrows and dyed hair and everything, that, oh, this is, the dollar store version of Jay White. He was working a very different style. He wasn't doing the sort of cowardly stalling and taking his time and Gedo interference heel work. He was just basically just very aggressive and just basically beating the crap out of Ishii, which was very refreshing, because usually with prominent Bullet Club leaders, they do lean into the cheating in a very sort of typical style of heel work, and this didn't. I thought this one really worked, and I think he looks good. I mean, your mileage may vary on that. A lot of people have been criticising the look. I thought he looked good. The only thing I would say that maybe get on a little bit of steroids, just a little bit.
Oh, you're encouraging steroids.
That's the only thing I think holding him back. Like if you transposed everything, like the promo work, the in-ring work, the ability to work the crowd, all of that, but onto the physique of, I don't know, let's say a Tamatonga, then I say, yeah, this guy's a nailed-on future world champion. So that's the only thing giving me pause. Because, and again, I'm not putting a value judgment on that. I think Finlay looks great. If I was in charge, he would be up there. However, we know that New Japan and Bushiroad do value that sort of stuff. They want their top guys to look a particular way. So again, I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying that's the only thing I think is missing from the list of things that we would typically associate with a tippy top guy in New Japan Pro Wrestling. So, well, that's by the by, though. I mean, okay, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, I think, even if you feel that way, I mean, he's obviously being put in a position where he's going to be a top guy. I mean, they're putting their chips, their stonks. I don't even know what that means. Yes, he's going to be a guy. And I like the fact that, at least for now, Joel, it's we're going to really establish him as a top heel who can. Again, I always say it. The hardest thing to do is to re-educate fans into saying, okay, this guy is now a guy that's been eating pins for 7 years. Is now a guy. So. Yeah, I mean, I think he looks good. Yes, I kind of feel like they had. I mean, I guess they did as much as they could in the time that they had. I guess, maybe not. at the very least, at least David Finlay got the last shot in, laid out Jay White for him to at least in that way signify that he was taken over. Could it have been better, more drawn out, more? Of course. But what we got is what we got. I like him there. I think he's going to be very good. The hardest part, though, Joel, is going to be making sure that the re-education of fans is in line, because I can already see the hand waving of David Finlay. He's the leader of Bull. What the fuck? And I don't know if that should be the case. I don't think that should be the case, because it's quite evident that he can and he will be a top guy.
Yeah, I was also really impressed by his character work, his promo work as well, because he's, we touched on this after Battle in the Valley, but he seems to be tapping into real life resentment about everything that's happened to him over the last few years. And maybe I'm doing him a disservice there. Maybe he's actually really happy and this is all him acting and projecting. But I think the most compelling heel character work comes from when you can sort of dig deep into a real life feeling that you got, or a real life experience. And it's coming across very believable, very natural for David Finlay. So I think he's doing a tremendous job there. And there's also been a lot of interesting stuff following that tension with El Phantasmo. So ELP's not very happy about David Finlay suddenly appearing out of nowhere to seemingly take over Bullet Club. He's not happy about the way Jay White was treated. So Phantasmo was saying that they were just going to let Jay White be the first person to just sort of leave Bullet Club, walk into the sunset on their own terms, and that Finlay ruined that. So there's definitely something brewing there. And, it seems that the end game is going to be David Finlay ejecting El Phantasmo from Bullet Club. It seems pretty obvious, but I'm not necessarily saying that's a bad thing. Sometimes the most obvious option is the right option, and I think it's the one that makes sense in this story. So, there might be some swerves along the way. I wouldn't do a swerve for a swerve's sake. I think it's a story that makes sense. We talked about ELP last week and how the crowd are really into it at the moment, and the fans in Korakuen Hall were sort of split chanting. Like, actually, I think there were more fans chanting ELP than there were chanting Naito at one point.
Yeah.
Little kids getting into him, throwing up the too sweet. There was a hilarious moment during one of these undercard matches. I forget which one it was, but when El Phantasmo was making his way back down the ramp after the match, there was a little boy threw up the too sweet, and El Phantasmo was about to too sweet him, and then this kid's mum was like leaned over and was just making these sort of very agitated hand gestures, like no, don't too sweet this man, don't trust him. It was extremely funny. That was probably the most dramatic moment of the entire tour. But so we're definitely going somewhere with Finlay and ELP, which I think could be a great feud, a really exciting series of singles matches. And who would have thought we'd be saying that 3 years ago? So I say well done for the elevation of David Finlay. He's got Great O'Khan in the next rounds. Do you think he's getting past O'Khan? Because I'm saying yes. Yeah, me too.
I mean, I think he has to be in at least. You think he has to be? He could lose the final, but does he have to be in the final?
I think so. I think a good spot, like traditionally we do this thing where the loser of the New Japan Cup final is the Dontaku challenger. And historically, Dontaku has been the big Bullet Club event. So I think if I had the gun to my head, I'd say Finlay loses in the final, but then challenges presumably Okada, and then maybe we get Finlay versus Okada at Dontaku with a big, the Bullet Club shenanigans event.
Right. Do you? I mean, the temperature of our Discord channel, which is always a very popular place, and the general online pro wrestling New Japan style feedback. Blah 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 blah. What's the temperature? What's everyone feeling about David Finlay being the leader of Bullet Club?
I think people are a bit tired of Bullet Club in general.
Well, yes.
And sort of recycling the same thing of, here's a guy with greasy dark hair who's wearing black leather and he's the leader of this foreign heel faction. And I get that. The people who have been following the product closely over the last couple of years and seen the rise of David Finlay and seen how great he's been in the big spots that he's been given, acknowledge that he deserves it, and they're excited by it and looking forward to seeing what's around the corner. The people who don't watch, the usual suspects who just like the impression you did several minutes ago. Well, David Finlay is the leader of Bullet Club. I think people who have actually been watching it and watching David Finlay are pleased that he's finally getting a chance. Okay,
that's fair. Because the one thing that I know, or at least I remember, is when his dad was kind of going on and on about his son going, and everybody was talking WWE and blah blah blah. And this might be a different David Finlay, but I don't remember a lot of people being like, okay, we need to hang on to this guy. He's the future. If I'm not mistaken, a lot of people were like, all right, shoulder shrug. That's that.
Yeah,
no big deal.
Do you remember that really weird match he had with Jay White on, I can't remember, Resurgence, whatever show it was, which just got the sort of opposite sort of heat that I think they wanted, where people were sort of cheering Jay White and booing David Finlay. And I think came off the back of an interview where the upshot of the interview, it just came across like Finlay had his sights set on WWE. And I don't know if he meant that. That could have been taken out of context. But the prevailing opinion, including from me, was that, this guy's just, counting down the clock till he can go to NXT. But either there was a change in his mentality or we were just completely mistaken about that.
Yeah.
It just could be a case of patience. He stuck around long enough, waited for the right guys to move on, and then he was like, hey, I'm still here. He proved himself in the big matches that he'd had in the various tournaments and title challenges, and they decided to give him the ball and he's running with it. Yeah. And I think that's a big part of being successful in New Japan, being in the right place at the right time.
Well, yeah. And also, that can work against him or anyone. Wasn't he, and I may not be 100% accurate on this, so take this with a little bit of a grain of salt. Wasn't he one of the guys that was involved with a lot of the chaos, and I don't mean the faction, surrounding around getting guys in during COVID, and he couldn't leave or some shit, or he caught COVID before he was tested to go on the plane or some shit like that? Like, I kind of remember him being involved in that.
I don't remember. I couldn't tell you with any certainty. Right. I mean, I had questions at the time about why is this guy not in Japan? Why is he not getting involved in events that they were bringing other people over for? But that would just be pure speculation on my behalf.
As well. All right, 3-0 Arsenal, by the way.
Yeah, we are playing extremely well. We're playing Fulham off the park. So eat shit, Tony Khan. Cactus Mac says, will Finlay be the breakout New Japan start of 2023? So, I mean, what do you think is the ceiling for this new iteration of David Finlay this calendar year?
Well, he is the leader of Bullet Club, which still is a money-making, important storyline in the mix all the time faction.
Because what they usually do, they would give that guy a cup of coffee with the IWGP title, the top title, to say, hey, this guy's serious, he's a threat. So I don't know, I wouldn't, if they do go ahead and do this thing where he's challenging at Don Taku, I would be, raising an eyebrow at that. That could very well be the point where they think, hey, we want people to take this guy seriously. He's going to have a 1 or 2 month run with a belt.
Whew. Wow. I mean, I'm just kind of, it's there for the taking, I guess. Could you believe anyone saying that a year ago?
Yeah, it's pretty wild, isn't it? But yeah, like I said, if you stick around long enough and wait for the pieces to fall in the right place, then it's all about timing. And David Finlay seems to have timed everything to perfection.
Yeah. Boy, I don't know. Why am I having such a fucking struggle with that one? I'm having a struggle with that.
Because he's not doing enough steroids.
Oh, is that what it is? All right. Get him on the gas. Yeah, I mean, once again, I'll say it again. I'm not going to say it again. You know what I'm going to say. The fucking re-education is hard. But that's going to happen. And being the top of the mountain when it comes to Bullet Club, I mean, it does put it does make it seem as if he doesn't, he would be, correct me if I'm wrong, the only leader to not, aside from like Finn Balor, of course, or
who would have got there. I mean, if he'd stuck around another year, Balor absolutely would have got there. But yeah, it ties into an interesting question from Lewis here. Has there ever been a faction in New Japan that has had the most leaders in their timeline? Bullet Club is up to 5 if Finlay is to take up the leader role. So yeah, I kind of think, if he well, it looks like he is Bullet Club leader, and if you don't put the belt on him within a certain time frame, then people will start asking questions.
Yeah. Again, Kenny, AJ, who else? Who else we Jay. I mean, there is a bit of a pattern here, right? Again, I don't know why I'm having such a difficult time kind of picturing him as the top of the mountain, but you can't ignore the fact that that's the path of a leader of Bullet Club. So, you might be on to something. I'm telling you, you might be on to something, because this has all the makings of it. It really does. It has all the makings of it, and I am concerned, a little bit concerned, just again because of that idea of that guy's the world champion, that guy, and again, they might not be as into the product as we are, and we can see the development, and we can see where, I mean, he's a worthy person for that role. I never thought I would see the day. I really didn't. I never thought I would see the day. But here we are. And I'm going to be honest, I kind of dig it. He's homegrown talent. He's done his time. I do kind of hope he gets it, because he's a guy that has worked extremely hard for this opportunity. His biggest of his career. And if that's the path, all right, I'm down. Now, I'm down with the asterisk of, all right, let's make this work. And so far, I think he has. But yeah, I like it.
Right, my next person who is Stonks up is one Kyle Fletcher.
Yes.
Who won his first round match, defeating Yoshihashi in 20 minutes, 6 seconds with a Grimstone pile driver, and then lost his second round match to Hiroki Goto, also 20 minutes, 43 seconds via GTR. So he's out of the tournament, but Stonks very much raised. And I talked about him before. He had that big match at Tamashi against Robbie Eagles, where he got a big win there. And this guy, you got to keep your eye on him. I spoke before about how Tanahashi kind of handpicked this guy and said that he's going to be the future, and that's a hell of a seal of approval. And if there's one sure tell that they've got big plans for a white guy, is when they start packing on a load of muscle, which is exactly what Kyle Fletcher's doing. I mean, comparing him to how he looked a few years ago, it's night and day. And again, no value judgment on that, but that is what New Japan like. That is what Bushiroad like. So this guy's 24 years old. This Yoshihashi match, that was his first singles match in Japan, his first New Japan Cup match, And he beat Yoshihashi, which, might not seem a lot, but this is a champion. It's a title holder who's been there for 10 years.
Yep.
And that, I thought, was a fantastic match. Had great energy, great fire. And the Goto match also, I thought, was terrific. And he got the crowds in Shiga. Sorry, no, let me get this exactly right. This is the Shiga Prefectural Cultural Industry Community House event hall. The fans inside that famous building chanting Aussie Arrow, which, not for nothing, as you like to say, that means something. He's already made this crowd connection. I've said before, just sort of glancing at him, often I mistake him for Will Ospreay, even if Will Ospreay's not in the match. It's like looking at 2017 Will Ospreay. And also a lot of the sort of stylistic, like the mannerisms, the way he moves, remind me of a younger Kenny Omega as well. So I just think the sky's the limit for this guy. The company are obviously very high on him. He's already connected with the fans. And I just think of that connection he has with Ospreay, and that sort of played into the match with Robbie Eagles and Tomashi that I mentioned a couple of weeks ago. That seems to be a nailed-on future sort of generational passing of the torch feud where Ospreay will be the guy to, finally put over Kyle Fletcher. It might take him 3 or 4 attempts. We'll probably get the usual New Japan booking trope of every time they meet in singles action, Will Ospreay beating him like a drum. But then, eventually where we get the moment where the mentee overcomes the mentor, like Kyle Fletcher versus Will Ospreay, that's going to be a thing, isn't it?
I think so, and I hope so. And you are 1,000% right. Like, to me, just Google it. You know what I mean? Like, do an image search and compare photos, and like the body transformation is quite amazing, actually. He's young, super talented, great look, great in ring. I think he's
good promo already.
Yes, great. Yes. Look, if you're looking for what I think is an easy bet in the future star, I'm putting my money on him.
There's 24.
Yeah.
He's only 24. That's mad.
And he's had great matches, obviously before 24. Yeah, it is crazy. It is crazy how good he is for 24 when you consider, okay, usually 30s is when pro wrestlers really start to fucking find their groove. He's found a groove and he's 24. There's still more to go. There's more bloom on that tree. He's putting in the effort, as you can see with the way that he was a skinny kid. He was a skinny kid, and he ain't a skinny kid anymore. And I hate to harp on the body thing, but yes, yeah. It's a tell. It's a tell. Yes, I definitely see a bright singles future for him. Absolutely. Yes. I'm in on that stonk.
Okay, next person who is stonks up for me is one Aaron Henare, who won his first round match against Shingo Takagi in Shingo's hometown, no less. Shingo's first main event in his hometown. Fucking great match. I mean, they beat the piss out of each other. I think Henare has got low-key some of the top striking in New Japan. That flying headbutt he does, the jumping headbutt, just vicious stuff. Like these guys just look like they were beating the hell out of each other. He cut his post-match promo in Japanese. And again, sort of similar to the David Finlay thing, I think he's, in those promos, tapping into a real-life frustration there, which is good. It's very dramatic. It's very compelling. And then he had his second-round match today against Tama Tonga.
Yep. Lost
that one in 60 minutes. It was a good match. It wasn't as good as the Shingo match, but, the Shingo match I thought was very special. Tama Tonga match, yeah, it was fine. I mean, I think as Henare starts to work this longer match style and he's sort of booked more seriously, then him working on these sort of control periods, like that will come. I think, over the last 6 months, there's been a concerted effort to give him more singles matches, mostly against young lions, where he's going sort of 7-8 minutes and working from the top. That's basically like 6 minutes of that is him in control. But then sort of transposing that to, a 16-minute, 17, 18, 19, 20-minute match, that's a different kettle of fish. But it's just a question of reps, I think. And I think that will improve. It will come. But again, I think this is a guy who, although he's been eliminated from the tournament, I think that Shingo match was, for me, a proof of concept. We've been saying for a while that, he's been sort of screwed out of various big spots for many years, out of injury or pandemic or whatever it was. We've had matches circling on kind of, he's got a big main event with Ishii here in Korakuen Hall that, and, for various reasons hasn't happened. Now it finally happened. And I think it was a huge match for Henare. He needed to shit or get off the potty, as you would say. And I think he did. I mean, how do I extend that analogy? Do I say he did a shit? He successfully did a big shit and it was good? Is that the success criteria?
His turd was dense. It was,
everyone's smelling it. It was impressive. There was a good girth to it.
Right. A double flusher. Yeah. Yeah, he had to stick some like a stick in there to break it up because it couldn't go down in one flush. he had to break it up.
Got the plunger out.
Yes. You know what I mean? We've all had them. And now he has one. His success is going to be weighed by the size of his stool. Oh, we are kids. We are children.
I'd say that's no less childish than the nasty comments Tamatonga was making about hair loss, which...
That's right. That was uncalled for.
You don't need to go there. You can keep it in your kayfabe and say that he's a bully, a crybaby, whatever, but don't go for the hair loss.
Cheap shot.
That's uncalled for.
Yeah. I agree. As a bald man, I agree. And he has
Do you think Henare would look good bald if he kept the moustache and just shaved his head? I think he'd look really good.
He'd look like a fucking video game villain is what he'd look like. You know what I mean? I like him. I think everyone knows I dig him. I also feel that he's had opportunities that he's had opportunities that have never come to pass. And again, whether it's injury or whether it's pandemic or whether what have you. And I feel like he's taken a little bit to get his wheels churning, even in this gimmick. Like, I kind of feel like it's been not a struggle, but it's been a slow burn for Henare, just even being in this gimmick and in this faction. The Shingo match was fucking fantastic. The Shingo match was absolutely, again, two guys of that size and stature beating the piss out of each other. Fucking great. I did watch the Tamatonga match as well, and I thought that was good.
That's that great spot in it where Tamatonga reversed the Streets of Rage into the gun stun.
Yeah, it was good. Like I don't want to say that he has. You know how the criticism we had of Jeff Cobb back years ago, and we were like, he needs to work with a guy who can bump and really fucking fly around the ring to emphasize his power moves, right? And we, not that we hand waved him, but we kind of like, okay, he needs to be in there and don't expect anything good otherwise. And that's changed. That has changed. big time. And I think
people can change.
What's
he
that?
used to be a piece of shit, but people can change.
People can, piece of shit. I don't know if I go that far, but yes, people can change and get better and improve. And I think that's where Henare is right now. Like Henare is going to have a great match with a guy like Shingo, but I'm going to throw this out there. Who doesn't? Who can't? But I think their styles complement each other a lot. And I want to see like guys like Tama Tonga, and I want to see guys like, I don't know, maybe even like Zach, or maybe even like just somebody who's like the opposite of his style. And I want him to have that.
I'll tell you what, Henare versus Yoshihashi.
Right.
That's a match that people would not expect to fuck, but that would fuck hard.
I think so. I hope so. Because then I think people will see him in an even brighter light. I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm saying that he hasn't done it yet. So I'm not going to tell people what to do, but me.
Well, I was like, what do you think is a good goal for him? Because I'm not saying this guy's future world champion material, but a spot on the roster, like let's say a serious long-term heavyweight tag champion, get him like Khan on the Cob, get that going. I think that is a good and realistic aim, achievable aim for Henare within the next 12 months. Yep,
I agree. I think that or even the Never, I would have no problem with. Starting somewhere in that realm. But from a fan perspective, I would like to see him in a match. Tai Chi. I'm trying to think of who. Just somebody that's a little bit different than him and his style, and have a great match. That's what I want. That's what I would love to see. Then I think more people will be turned into Henare backers. And I think the Shingo match helps tremendously, but just let's diversify his portfolio of good matches.
Right, a pair, I'm saying Stonks up. Bishamon. We talked about the matches for Yoshihashi and Hiroki Goto. I thought as singles performers, they have done a fantastic job in elevating Kyle Fletcher and playing to his strengths and having that high pace, high intensity, hard hitting match that made him look like a real threat. But also as a tag team. Now, you missed this, Damon, and I strongly encourage anyone who else missed it to go back and watch. So this was the anniversary event, Monday, March the 6th. It was the main event where Bishamon successfully defended their tag team titles against the dream team of Tanahashi and Okada. Only went 20 minutes, but it was fucking fantastic. And just a real sort of coming out party for Bishamon, who surely now have silenced all their critics, all their doubters, all the people who are poo-pooing them winning World Tag League. And I was bullish at the time when I said, no, these guys are really good. People are sleeping on them. They are a quality, a top-tier tag team. And I think they proved it now. Like, what else do they have to do? They proved it against FTR at Wrestle Kingdom. Now they proved it at the anniversary event against Tanahashi and Okada. These guys are the real deal. I'm so glad that they retained, and I just think they're doing a terrific job, both as singles guys and as tag team guys.
Yeah, I feel bad missing that. I mean, I definitely will go back and watch it, but schedule was a little crazy. I think they might.
I would jump on the back of this, and I will say that there was some sort of whispers that Yoshihashi and Goto were on the chopping block when it comes to the G1 Climax. That, if it was a 20-man field, then they wouldn't make the cut. I think that would be a real shame if they didn't make the cut, because just the improvements that Yoshihashi's made over the last 3 years are phenomenal. Like, he just looks like a different man. And Goto, again, he's a guy that people keep writing him off, but then you see him have performances like he did against Kyle Fletcher, and then you think, no, this guy has still got so much value as a singles competitor. Again, he's not going to be world champion. He's never going to be a top guy, but just a tremendous asset to have on your roster for tournaments like a New Japan Cup or like a Grade 1 Climax. So if it were up to me, both of them would still be in the G1.
I think people hand wave Hiroki Goto for the dumbest reasons. And trust me, I might be guilty of that too. But like the idea of him being like the perpetual loser and never going in the big one and blah, blah, blah. Like, why does that matter? I mean, like he's a fucking solid pro wrestler, more than solid. I think if we're being fair and we're being mindful watchers of this product, come year-end award, they absolutely have to be like the most underrated fucking thing of New Japan Pro Wrestling, right? Especially by people like us, like hardcore fans. Like it's
not me. I have always given them their flowers.
You have. I would be the guilty party. But I also think a lot of other people would be guilty of that. They are a absolute asset and, quite honestly, extremely unappreciated. Extremely unappreciated. They are a solid team. And yes, I do have my complaints. And yes, I do have my personal bias of, I got to get over that. I got to get over that because
you did it again. They're not a solid team. They're great. I don't know. Great. People have different definitions of great, but at worst, a very good team.
Right. And I
know we're talking semantics here, but I think, I would have said 2 years ago, I would have said, yeah, solid team. Now I think solid is underselling them.
Yep.
Doing them a disservice.
I agree. That and I think that's my point. I think they've elevated to a real fucking asset to the company, a great team. And yeah, you're right. They are getting wins over, the teams that everybody says are great tag teams. They are getting wins over them. Yeah, I just think
there was a great bit of the commentary for that match where I think it was Kevin Kelly was asking Chris Charlton, are Yoshihashi and Goto better singles wrestlers than Tanahashi and Okada? And Chris Charlton says no. And then he says, are Yoshihashi and Hiroki Goto a better tag team than Okada and Tanahashi? And Chris Charlton said yes. Mm-hmm. And that's it. That says it all.
Yeah.
And I think it was really smart to have them going against the Dream Team and beat them in it wasn't a squash or anything. It was a competitive match, but it was a conclusive win for Bishamon. It wasn't like they sort of sneaked out or anything. You came away from that match thinking 20 minutes, okay, this is the better tag team. This is the best tag team in the company. Right. So really smart booking there.
I agree. 1,000%. It's, and again, as it should be. You know what I mean? It's a tag team title. Who's the best tag team? Right. I think it's very, very intelligent and smart booking. Well done.
Let's have your prediction for Goto versus Tamatonga in the next round.
Could you see a Goto Tamatonga never title match? I can.
Yeah. Someone's got to beat Tamatonga to set up a never title match. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be for Sakura Genesis. It could come later.
Mm-hmm. It could come before.
But I don't know. Goto, no, because he's wrapped up with the tag titles.
He is.
I think it would be weird for him, after all the praise we've heaped on Bishamon as a tag team, for then him to put that on hold and start doing never title stuff. So
I mean, on paper,
I think Tamatonga's got to win that one. Tamatonga's getting the big push. He's the singles champion. Tamatonga's got to win.
All right, but I mean, we just saw Okada and fucking Tanahashi as a tag team, and on paper, they're quite a team. All right. So you're saying Tamatonga over Hiroki Goto?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to say Goto wins. I can see it. I can see Goto challenging. So
the G in New Japan Cup stands for Goto.
You got
so
that right. Yeah. What? Yeah.
Okay, another person stonked up. Just a quick one here. Black Trunks Okada, who the two Dream Team tag matches, so the one that I just mentioned, and also he had a featured tag match on the show on Saturday in Aichi, which was the sixth match, a special tag team match where Tanahashi and Okada defeated Ren and Shota, 30 minutes, 32 seconds. So Okada pinned Ren following a Rainmaker. And look, you called it last time, and I was doubtful, and I thought this was going to be, a good showcase for Ren and or Shota, but no. Okada absolutely punked out Ren. Just Rainmaking him out of his boots, and then Shota got involved, and Shota ate a elbow drop on a high-fly flow, and he got his carcass tossed out of the ring. And then just that great moment where Okada let Ren get up, and Ren's, snarling. He's got blood dribbling out his nose, and Okada's going, come on, give me your best shot. You can have a free hit. And then Ren swings at him. Okada just ducks it, and bang, second Rainmaker. And then in the backstage comments, I've watched it a couple of times. So I was talking to Manabu, and Manabu says that his backstage comments have upset the Noah fans because they think he sort of indirectly buried Kaito Kiyomiya by basically saying that Ren and Shota offered him more of a challenge than Kaito did, although he didn't actually mention Kaito at all, but they sort of think by the phrasing of it that he was basically indirectly burying him. But just putting all that to one side, this booking of Okada in the black shorts is just this pissed off guy who's just bullying everyone and punking out these younger up and coming wrestlers who, dare to get into the ring with him. It's really good shit. It's the most interesting Okada booking for years. I love it.
Yeah. Let's turn back the hands of time. To me, heel Okada, it was so much better and so much more fun and so much, I don't want to say nuanced, because he wasn't, this fucking heel where, we're going to grab a fucking chain or an object or, or cheat or. No, he was just better than you. You know what I mean? Like, that was his gimmick. He's great. That's a hell of a gimmick. But still, it was I just felt like there was just a little bit more that he could do when he got an edge. When he got a little sandpaper in him. And not to say that you didn't see that or you don't see that with babyface Okada. But it trust me, when he flicks the switch and you get another taste of what you had before, it is better. I'm sorry, it is. So just having him just kind of straddle the line is exciting. I don't know. I don't think we're seeing full-fledged heel Okada anytime soon. But again, when he has that little edge and little cockiness and a little, I'm going to show these fucking wet behind the ears, whippersnappers, a thing or two, I like that. I do like that. I think, to me, I like the cocky, brash, I'm better than you, fuck you, Okada. And trust me, if Noah fans are upset, I would be because he did get punked. It was a very, very, very definitive win, right? And quite an exclamation point. Which, again, still has me believing that the end cannot possibly be the end. But, you put New Japan on a show. That's what's going to happen, guys. I hate to say it.
Well, I kind of think they were sort of setting up something long-term with him and Ren, with the way he treated Ren in this tag match.
Maybe.
But, either way, it was interesting in the post-match stuff. I kind of said that with regards to the Dream Team with Tanahashi, he wants more reps on a big stage. So I was wondering maybe that they're going to do some more stuff in the US, have some sort of high-profile big tag team matches in America.
I'm sure they would both love it. Tag team situation, I'm not saying it's an easy night, but I'm just saying it might be an easier night. So, yeah, I think it's. I mean, and again, just to make sure I'm clear, because I did not hear these comments. We're talking about Okada and Tanahashi, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
So we haven't seen the last of them. He's got plans.
All right, I like it.
I think that'd be a cool spot for those sort of not the biggest US shows, but those kind of middling ones where you're not going to have an IWGP World Title defense, but you have a featured tag match with Tanahashi and Okada. I think that's a draw.
I think so too. I absolutely do, and especially if they have like a nice top tier tag team to go against, or maybe a dream tag on the other side. That maybe you wouldn't have would not have expected to have seen. Yeah, I mean,
how about
Okada
Tanahashi against Young Bucks?
Sure, I would love that. I think that would be fucking great.
And Okada would fucking love that because he loves the Young Bucks, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's dressing up in Nick Jackson's gear backstage.
They come out in the gear. they swap gear. I don't think anybody would think that would be terrible. I think, that would be really good. So yeah, maybe that would be fun. I mean, we are expecting a second show. Where, when, why? Well, listen, we'll be the first to know.
But I forgot to sound the fantasy booking klaxon. The preceding content was fantasy booking and will not occur in real life.
Right, we need a sounder for that. I think, though, we will be. At least we're not fucking fantasy booking a Bullet Club turn. The Civil War. The Civil War. Boo.
Another person I've got a Stonks up just a little bit, Lio Rush. I've just really enjoyed what he's brought to the undercard. His energy, his promos. He's screaming, saying to Hiromu, "That junior title is mine. It's mine." And I've enjoyed it. He's just bringing his A game to whatever he does, even when it's what you think is a relatively inconsequential multi-man tag match in the middle of a New Japan Cup tour. He's bringing it, and a lot of people doubted him and thought, maybe his heart's not really in it, but this is arguably some of the best work I've ever seen from Lio Rush, and hope he actually dethrones Hiromu when it comes to the finals.
Yeah, and I think that match will be fantastic, and it does add a nice little spice to the somewhat drab junior scene right now. So, yep, I think he's the person that we needed. Or he really is the person that we needed, and he's working his ass off, and I think this match is going to be fucking tremendous.
To conclude the Stonks Up segment, Multiverse Ace said the first round saw strong performances from three fresh faces, Fletcher, Henare, and Finlay. Who do you think has the highest ceiling in New Japan? I think in the short term, it will be David Finlay, but long term, it's Kyle Fletcher, because of all the things we said. He's got time on his side, and I just think using the sort of blueprint of the rise of Will Ospreay, I think Kyle Fletcher has a lot of the similar qualities of him. Of course, he's his own man, but I would be very surprised and disappointed if, in 5 years' time, Kyle Fletcher wasn't a big player for New Japan.
Oh, I thought you were going to say NXT. I hope
he needs to sit under the Shawn Michaels learning tree.
Yeah, listen. Apparently, a lot of dojo guys are doing that right now.
Did you see NXT match announced? Dragon Lee against Carl Fredericks,
yeah,
or Eddie Thorpe to give him his new name.
Sounds like an old-time baseball player. And now batting, Eddie Thorpe. Oh. Yeah, I did see that. Who's got the biggest upside?
Yeah, Finlay, Henare, Fletcher.
Progressive presents Adjusting to the Suburbs.
I never thought I'd care about gardening until I bought a house in the suburbs. But now I find myself in conversations about liquid fertilizer, and I wonder, am I the fertilizer guy now? No way. Everyone knows the ratio between phosphorus and nitrogen, right? Yeah, I'm still totally cool.
Anyway, when you save with Progressive by bundling your home and auto, that's the easy part of adjusting to the suburbs. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliates and third-party insurers.
I would say...
it depends which Finlay. Are we talking about pre-steroids Finlay or post-steroids Finlay? Once he hits the gas, he's going to own all the titles at once.
Yeah. I think short-term, Finlay's the no-brainer. So I guess long-term, it's between Henare and Fletcher. I think Henare has more to grow. He's got a taller. What's the word I'm looking for? Like he's got more to go. Whereas Fletcher is right now, like if Henare can get to where Fletcher is, and then onward, that would be fucking incredible. But yeah, I think Fletcher's your guy. He's just, I'm so impressed by him. I think, look, I think New Japan better lock him down. right. That's really what needs to happen.
Yeah. They shouldn't have let him leave the building today without signing something.
Seriously. It is a crazy thing to think that, they would not, but it looks like, if they're smart, they will. It looks like they will.
Okay. What's happened here? No, we all good? You can still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I just got a little warning message pop up. I didn't see what it said. Okay, so now into the Stonks hold/down segment. Talk about Tetsuya Naito defeating Chase Owens in 18 minutes 7 seconds with a victory roll. So Naito doing the thing that he usually does in these cut runs, where he is catching people out with his variety of pinning combinations, not having to rely on Destino to get the job done. I thought this was all right. This was pretty good. I mean, I think a lot of people are down on Chase Owens, but I thought he was fine here. I mean, it's a fairly forgettable match, but I was entertained watching it. I thought Chase Owens' control segments were quite creative. I liked some of the heel work he was doing, like, forcing Naito's eye open to do that sort of stuff. I thought that was good.
I thought it was good.
He's a scumbag. He was doing scumbag things. So yeah, I quite like this match. Didn't change my opinion about either of them, but it was fine.
I thought he was really good. I mean, again, it's not a match that you're going to put in your top matches of the year, but I thought for what it was perfectly fine. And I thought Chase was. I mean, I'll be honest. I thought Chase worked harder than Naito in this match. Right.
All right. Okay. Let me put you on the spot, Damon. Okay. Let's say we're going back to a 20-man Grade 1 climax. Does Chase Owens make your cut?
Yes. I mean, somebody's got to eat pinfalls, but yes. And he'll get a win, a surprising win somewhere. Yeah, I think so. I would think. Why not?
I would take him any day of the week over the next person I would like to talk about, who very much, in my book, stomps down, which is fucking Yujiro Takahashi, who had his first round match against Shota Umino. So Shota won after 9 minutes 47 seconds with the Death Rider. Yujiro looked like absolute shit here. He was in horrendous shape, just huffing and puffing, could barely get himself up for the pop-up uppercut and the tornado DDT. He just looked horrendous here. And I got really annoyed watching this. I was just like, what the fuck is this guy still doing in this company? Why are they putting him in the tournament? Why is he here? And, guys like Gabe Kidd is not, and Alex Coglin's not, rah, rah, rah. But then there's a question from David who says, seeing Yujiro having another bad match in a semi-prominent position makes me think, is New Japan's loyalty to its wrestlers sometimes a problem? In a way, it's good that they don't fire many wrestlers, but on the other hand, a guy like him offers very little to anyone. So, I mean, I had an interesting conversation on the Discord because I was thinking, who is the last Japanese wrestler that they got rid of because they were no good? And you've got to go all the way back to like a Captain New Japan or a Yoshitatsu. They don't do it anymore, do they? And obviously, a lot of these guys were sort of forced into more prominent spots during the pandemic because there are a lack of alternatives, and Yujiro was one of them. He was well and truly cut from the G1, but then when the plague hit, then they were sort of scrabbling around for names. And God, do you remember that cursed Yujiro Okada feud in the autumn of 2020? Jesus Christ, that was horrible. What I'm saying now is we don't need to do that anymore. And I'm not saying he should get fired, but he needs to be aggressively downcycled. But maybe this is what's happening. I mean, he's lost a first-round New Japan Cup match, and I'm going to give them a pass on this. I will give them a pass on him being in the Cup because, we understand New Japan are in money-saving mode. And really, there's not much point bringing in guys like Alex Coughlin or Gabe Kidd or Fred Rosser or Hikuleo if they're just going to lose in the first round anyway. If we swapped Yujiro for Gabe Kidd here, what have we achieved?
Right.
Does it make sense for New Japan to pay a load of money to get people on a plane and hotels and everything and bring them in for a tour if they're just going to lose in the first round? So I accept why he's in the first round. I think that's fine. I will allow it. And I think in something like the New Japan Cup, you want to focus on a small number of pushed guys. Like we talked about, Finlay and Henare and Fletcher. If you have a load of people being elevated like that, then it sort of takes the shine off of them. I think it's better to focus on a small number of that. However, if Yujiro is in the G1, I'm going to put my foot through the laptop and send Obari the bill because this performance, he just looked like absolute crap, and I'm done with him. I'm washing my hands. If he's in the G1, I'm not going to watch any matches that he's involved in because life is too short for that.
He looked bad, and he looked. I was kind of hoping he was injured because at least that would explain the situation. But yeah, he was out of shape. He just didn't look like he should have been there. So would I have him in G1? Like if you're going to be the pin eater, like if you're going to be the guy that unfortunately goes under 500 in the tournament, at least we would love to see good performances. Right. We want to see competitive matches. We want to see interesting, compelling matches. It's a long tournament. You get in fucking day 5 and day 6 and day 8, and you're like, ugh, you need something to look forward to. And, when you realize that he's on the show, in a semi-main event against whomever, and it kind of turns you off on that show a bit, right? I would have no problem with him.
Yeah, it actively detracts from the quality and the appeal of the G1 if you put someone like Yujiro in it.
I'm in agreement. I think it's safe to say that there are other people on that roster who could play that role very well. Of a guy who,
and it's a better value proposition for bringing in people like from the LA Dojo, whether it's Fred Rosser or Gabe Kidd, Hikuleo, whatever, for a tour like the G1, or maybe even an outsider. Everyone's talking about Bryan Danielson. It's a better value proposition when you're flying them over and you're going to get 9 tournament matches out of them at least. That is when you start splashing the cash. Because I think G1 this year specifically is a real opportunity for New Japan to hoover up some more lapsed subscribers or new subscribers. But again, if they're putting Yujiro Takahashi in the field, then you can kiss that shit goodbye.
Yeah. Yes. I 1,000% agree. I mean, there's a couple guys I would be very happy to not see in G1. I mean, I'm not as big.
All right, give me your names.
Yano.
Yes, I'm coming to him. He's next in my crosshairs.
Right. I don't want to see Fale.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't want to see your Maccabees and stuff like that. I mean, not that would happen. I hope not, but I don't want to see that. Yeah, I would say those guys I would not want to see.
All right, let's just play a quick game here. So I will name some wrestlers, and you say, would you rather have Yujiro in this? I'm talking specifically New Japan Cup here, not G1. So this New Japan Cup slot of losing in the first round to Shota. So Yujiro or Kojima?
Kojima.
Yujiro or Honma?
Probably Honma. He hasn't looked that bad. I don't know if he's got some great physical therapy. You know what I mean? Like, he hasn't looked that bad compared to, like, a year ago or two. Honma, yeah.
Yujiro or Tenzan?
Oof. Yujiro.
I take Tenzan.
Really?
I take Tenzan. Like, that's what I was a bit sad about this year, that because they slimmed down the field to 24 instead of what it's been in previous years, that we didn't get the annual first round match with Honma and Tenzan, which always over delivers. Like, people always hand wave it and think, oh, it's the dads, but it's always compelling. I can't remember exactly who faced. Didn't we have Tenzan versus Ospreay and Tenzan versus Yoshihashi in recent years that sort of wildly over delivered on expectations? But yeah, I mean, this is a sad state of affairs for Yujiro, when I would rather have
the guy who
basically all of the dads in various states of disrepair rather than him.
No,
he's not an old man, Yujiro.
No, I would take Yujiro because here's the thing: it's in there somewhere. It's in there somewhere. But I mean, if we're going by the performance that he put on versus give me anyone else, knowing that I'm going to get that performance, I don't know if Tenzan is going to give me more. I got to be honest. Yeah, I would probably go Yujiro. Give me another one. Come on.
Okay, Yujiro or any of Nakashima, Oiwa, or Fujita, or Oscar Loiba.
Yeah, I would take all of them. I would take all of them.
Yeah, there you go.
Honestly, you could put them. You could put them in a room, blindfold me, and I'll just point to one, and it would be better. Yeah.
Stonks hold Shota Umino, who, I mean, there's only so much you can do with the Yujiro. I think we'll be better equipped to discuss his progress after he's wrestled Zach. But what I will say for Shota, one thing I think he's improved that was also identified by a friend of the show, J. Michael, his promos. Shota's been putting on some very good, earnest, sincere promos where he's speaking from the fart,
where?
And we're getting more of a sense of who Shota Umino is. And I said that was a flaw, that I think he needs to figure out who he is, and we're starting to feel that there is this sort of level of sincerity coming across in his promos that I'm finding compelling. So let's see how he gets on against Zach. Like, who have you got, Shota or Zach?
Zach.
I'm going Shota. I think we're getting a cheeky little TV title challenge down the line.
I mean, I would not complain. I still scratch my head, though, at people kind of like hand waving and fucking booting out any idea that he's decent. I think he's good. I don't. What am I not seeing? Like, what is the what's the reason behind a lot of people that I see hand waving Shota?
People who've watched him through his excursion think he hasn't really shown any progress. They think he doesn't have the fire or the spark to show that he's a really top guy. They don't like his look. They don't like him having the Moxley jacket. They thought the Naito performance was poor.
I don't know.
He's very young. He'll get better.
I know. I don't get. Like, I mean, dude is getting this look and this feel, and are people thinking it's a little quick for him? Or no,
like the whole presentation of him, he got outclassed by Naito, and in this tag match, he's got outclassed by Tanahashi and Okada, and he said, "I'm nowhere near these guys' level yet." Right. So it's not like this is a guy that they're presenting and saying, "This guy's the real deal. He's the finished article. He's one of the top guys in the company, and he's beating all your favorites." No, he's losing all these big matches. Right. So you can't I mean, it's intentional. They're showing you, no, this guy's not ready yet.
Yeah, I think of anything that is like he's getting a raw end of the stick from a lot of people, and I just don't understand it. I really don't. I think, one, have some fucking patience, and two, he's good. He's not for where he should be. I mean, when did he debut? Not Young Lion debut, but when did he come back from excursion? Not that long ago, right?
Yeah, was it November? Was it the historic
right.
crossover match? That was his.
It's not the
first one back in Japan, I think.
Yeah, it's not like it's like fucking 5-year project with him. It's a fucking handful of months. Relax, please. Oh,
he's only 25. Look, in 5 years' time, when we're all lauding Wrestle Kingdom, what will it be? Wrestle Kingdom 22 main event of Kyle Fletcher against Shota Umino getting 8 stars from Big Dave. Then you can all come and apologize.
There you go. I agree. I'm with you. I don't get it, but yeah, I think he's doing just fine. Just fine.
Stonks down. Toriano lost to Mark Davis, 12 minutes, 33 seconds via water slide. Yano was one of these guys who got really hurt during the pandemic with the clap crowds because people were not able to react in a vocal way to his shenanigans. But now they can react. He's not funny. He's just like a sad little clown that nobody laughs at. And he's not really freshened up his act. He doesn't come up with new material. Compare him to a guy like Stalker Ichikawa from Dragon Gate, who every time I watch him, he's doing something different, also silly, but something different. So he's actually working hard to come up with new material. But Yano, can we enough with the Toriano? And I get some people still like him, and I get that he's like a sort of gateway for newer fans. They see this silly person and find him amusing the first time. But again, same as usual. Let's downcycle him. First round in New Japan Cup, fine. Grade 1 climax where I have to watch him 9 times, no thank you. And don't give me any of this, he's the night off nonsense, because if you are going with that theory, then that means only half the people in the field get a night off. What about all the people in the other block?
Right.
And, there's plenty of other people who can do the quote-unquote night off thing if you believe that is a real thing. Evil could be the night off match. Or Zack. Zack is a relatively low-impact match. Sanada is a relatively low-impact match. There's loads of people who, could play that role where it's a less intense match, or just have the matches go shorter. How about that, Damon? Don't have every match that's, in the final 3 going 22, 23, 25, 27, 29 minutes. Maybe don't do that. Maybe have some of the matches go just, 6 minutes or 7 minutes. Have a guy get caught out or a guy getting tired and getting sloppy. No need for Toriano in the G1. And this is, wishful thinking on my behalf, because I think he probably will be there. But I really think it's time we start moving him from him, because he's just not funny.
Yeah. I mean, look, I would hope New Japan gets new fans all the time. And you got to put yourself in our shoes, and like we've seen this shtick for years, and you're just waiting for it to end. Is really what you're doing. Like you're just can we just ring the fucking bell? We get it. You have your DVD. The matches can be fun in the sense of their quick sprints, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is. But even then, I feel like we've seen every fucking bag of trick, from, taping a guy to the fucking barricades, and, just, we get it. To me, there's so much more possibilities with so many other people that being subjective to the shtick again is kind of passe, as a kind word. I would have no problem with it. I would have zero problem with it, him not being in. I think it's 50-50, to be honest with you. I think it's 50-50. I just think that they have a lot of talent and a lot of people who could play that role but not play that role, right? They can play the role of a guy who's going under 500 and, might be shoulders to the mat more often than not, that you don't have to subject us to another year of Yano.
And it's hard for me to comment on Mark Davis at this point because, that's not a proper wrestling match. So I will reserve judgment until I see him with his singles match against Will Ospreay, which I'm pleasantly surprised. When I saw them on that side of the bracket together, I was hoping that we'd get that because you could just tell that it's exactly the sort of match where Will Ospreay has gone to the office and said, please, 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 let me have a singles match with Mark Davis so we can beat the crap out of each other.
Yeah.
Greg writes in and says, why are we running two faction mates who don't get along stories at the same time? So I assume he's referring to ELP Finlay and Ospreay and Mark Davis. Now, I don't necessarily think, because there's been a lot of discord between Ospreay and Davis, them sort of not quite getting along, Davis not wanting to tag in because he knows he's got the match with Ospreay coming up and they're sort of needling each other in the post-match stuff. But I don't think this is like a long-term Aussie opener breaking up from United Empire. I mean, it might get there eventually, but I just think they are trying to set the table to have a reason why these two stablemates would beat the shit out of each other in the New Japan Cup second round match. Because if they didn't do any of that stuff, then you'd be like, well, these guys are teammates. Why are they going in so hard? So I think they've been quite smartly and subtly doing that. So people who do watch the undercards think, yes, now I understand why these guys are killing each other, because I think that's exactly what they intend to do. Greg says, it was also me and Ospreay doing some HBK level super selling this tour. I think we'll probably see more of that against Mark Davis. I'm circling that one. I'm really excited for that one. Who do I think is going to win? I'm pretty sure Will Ospreay is going to win, but I think it's going to be a very violent and intense match, and people are going to come away with it thinking, wow, Mark Davis, good singles wrestler, as well as a good tag wrestler.
Yep. They're having conversations already of how this match might look and might feel and what do we want to do. I know, I don't know, but I'm pretty confident in saying that those guys are excited to do this, to have this match. I expect it to be great. And I think I'm pretty confident they will deliver on great. And I think just this idea of this match being kind of a little bit of a springboard for Davis. We're sitting here swooning over his tag team partner, but I think this match will shine a little bit more light on him. And I think it's going to be well-deserved, and I think it's going to be fun. And I think we'll come back next week and be very pleased with what we see.
Stonks down. Ren narrator losing to Evil in their first round match in 18 minutes 44 seconds. Just having those two matches, Yano and Davis, and then Ren Evil back-to-back for that show in Fukushima. Jesus Christ. It was like pulling teeth. And it wasn't a bad match, but the crowds were not really into it. I mean, they got some responses from the crowd, but I don't feel it landed. And I think they've got a better match in them. I was talking when they were doing the TV title tournament that I thought Ren versus Evil could have been a hot final. And I think, we've seen Evil have matches where that match he had with Ishii a few months ago, where in the last 5 minutes, they just started beating the crap out of each other. That's what I wanted to see here, but we didn't got it. We just got standard House of Torture horseshit Evil and a little bit of crowd heat. But Ren didn't tap into that same fire that Okada managed to get out of him in the tag match that they had earlier in the week. Yeah. So this one, that whole show was just a skip for me. Very dull.
Well, listen, I appreciate you putting up with that. If you have to perform the Heimlich maneuver,
well, yeah, this is it, because I've been sort of saying how great it was, the master stroke, the genius move of me doing the podcast in the bedroom.
Yeah.
And it hasn't woken up either of my children. I think they find hearing my voice quite soothing, and it helps them continue sleeping. But when one of them's being so rude as to start having a coughing fit while I'm recording, we can't allow that, can we?
I wanted to make sure everybody was all right. Oh, yes, probably too much birthday cake, I would think. I agree with everything you said. I just was distracted by the coughing. I'm sorry.
Okay, so next round we've got Evil against Jeff Cobb. Jeff Cobb has been very good on commentary. He's been a great addition to that, I think. Good energy, good insight. But yeah, what are we saying, Evil or Cobb? Because if Cobb wins, then that means we're getting another intra-faction United Empire match, because he would face the winner of Ospreay Davis, which, maybe that's a story they want to tell. This could be the genesis of something. Ospreay versus Cobb. I think in their history, Cobb has won all of the singles matches they've had together, if I'm not mistaken. They had one at Madison Square Garden, didn't they?
I think so.
Earlier on in the cards for that super card. I don't know. I'm just picking Evil here because I think this is they see this as an opportunity to heat him up a bit. So, yeah, Evil wins.
Yeah, I would like to see Cobb, but I would have to go Evil. I can't see Evil. Well, I can see him losing, but I can't. I don't know. Am I talking myself out of it? No. Stick with Evil. Evil.
And the last thing to discuss in my Stonks Down segment is the main event from the show on Saturday in Aichi, and that was Sanada defeating Kenta in 29 fucking minutes and 12 seconds with modified DDT. Sanada advances to the quarterfinals. Now,
who thought that was a good idea?
Why? I know. Michael CC says, what did I do to Gedo to deserve Sanada Kenta going 30 minutes? Come on, lads. I mean, you could have wrapped this up in half that time. And I enjoy Kenta. I like the promo stuff he does is tremendous entertainment. Like, it's, borderline genius, just the sort of the levels of comic ability that he's showing in these backstage stuff for, freaks like me who actually watch it. But as far as a high-profile singles wrestler, he's cooked, isn't he? Like, we can't. I mean, it's fine if him holding the strong title and doing 12, 30-minute matches in the States. Like, yeah, that's good. That's a good use of Kenta. But 29 minutes with Sanada in the New Japan Cup?
Come on.
No, thank you. Yeah. To the extent to which I'm thinking he should probably be out of the G1 as well. And maybe I suspect at the time he might have some US dates. Maybe he's going to be doing something with a strong title at that time. But I just think it's diminishing returns at this point. Again, if it's up to me, Kenta not making the cut.
He'll definitely be in it. Yeah, I mean, look, he's not fucking 10 years ago, Kenta. That's for certain. Every once in a while, he shows a little glimmer of it, but I think overall, he's kind of transitioned into a wrestler who, has to rely on other things. And that's fair, a father time creeps up on everyone, but this match.
They can wrestle for 29 minutes then.
right. But that's my point. Like, I get the fact that you want to give fans their quote money's worth, but that doesn't necessarily mean that a match has to go a certain length. They want a good match. They want an entertaining match. They want a fun match. Now, I'm not saying you turn it into a fucking Hulk Hogan squash match and go 8 minutes, but I think a healthy 15, you know what? Maybe even a little bit over that. I think it's acceptable. But the idea of now close to 30 minutes, come on. I mean, I don't think there's anyone in the building. Like, if you took a survey of everyone as you took their ticket and said, hey, 30 minutes or whatever, we'll just say 26 minutes or less. Everyone would go less, please, less. I don't think there's going to be 4 people that say, yeah, give me all the time. It's, I mean, let's put it this way. There are lots of other things, other people, other matches, other whatever that I would much prefer going that length of time. Not these two. It's
a war crime.
It is a war crime. I couldn't wait for this match to be over. I couldn't wait. And every time I thought maybe it was happening, It wasn't. And I got like grouchier and grouchier as the match went on. Just knowing that, oh my God. And here's the thing too. There are 30-minute matches, 29-minute match, whatever the fuck this thing was. I'm rounding up. That could be interesting and fun, and I'm not shitting on the concept that the idea of time being bad for everyone. It's just that you got to these two guys you're going to put that long just because.
Yeah, look, let's look at the main event timing of everything. Basically, from the anniversary event. So anniversary event, that tag title match, 20 minutes. Then Ren versus Evil, 18 minutes. Then Shingo versus Henare, 20 minutes. We have Goto versus Carl Fletcher, 20 minutes. So they're all sort of hovering around 20 minutes. And now Sanada Kenta, 29. What? Why? What were they thinking? 20 minutes, it would have been fine.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think anybody would have complained. I don't think there's anybody that's going to stand up in their seat and be like, what are we doing with the other 8 minutes?
Encore.
Right, throwing roses. Right. Might happen. I don't know.
Well, we have next round, we've got an intra-faction Sanada versus Naito match, which is an interesting one. So be curious to see your predictions for that one, Damon. I'm thinking Sanada. I think with this storyline they're doing with him, it's all or nothing. I could see him going all the way. So, yeah. I mean, there's part of me that's sort of holding on to this Naito versus Shota in the final thing, but I just think with what went down with Taichi in the first round, it's Sanada time, I'm afraid.
So there's a lot of interfaction stuff. Do you think we'll see anybody turning on anybody, leaving a faction, doing anything like that?
They've hinted it with Sanada. I mean, Taichi was saying like, "Oh, LIJ are holding you back." And fantasy booking alert.
Right.
That maybe Taichi would come out to corner Naito, to corner Sanada against Naito, which I thought would be an interesting story. But we have done this before with Sanada. I'm pretty sure Tanahashi at one point or another has said to Sanada, "Oh, you should leave LIJ. They're not good for you." Blah blah blah, and it ended up amounting to nothing. So
right.
I don't think it will amount to anything, but I think it would make narrative sense and be interesting and exciting if that were to happen. Like some of the Just 4 guys will come out to support Sanada in his match against Naito. But again, that's just pie in the sky.
Yeah, it is pie in the sky, but it's still 1,000 times more interesting than what they probably have planned. So I was thinking, just 4 guys, 5 guys. How about Sanada in House of Torture?
I don't know if that would make sense considering all the grief that House of Torture have given him over the last few years.
It doesn't
I mean, there's always the threat that Gedo has in his back pocket of throwing another Sanada Evil match at us, which is a distinct possibility, if not probability, with the way that the brackets are playing out. But can't see it.
Boy, that's a depressing thought, isn't it? Whew. Yikes. All right. Well,
every time you see them on the same side of the bracket, it's just like Gedo just clenching a fist at you, saying, you moan all you want about my booking, but it could be worse.
Then he proves it.
Don't make me do it.
It's exactly what it is. Oh, well. All right. Well, listen, we have a lot of interfaction stuff in the next few days. If I had to bet on somebody, turning on somebody, I would say Sanada is our guy, but will it happen? I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, I think I'm at like a 4 of it happening.
All right, well, let's do quick picks then for the next week's show. So on the 13th, so by the time you're listening to this, it may have already happened, but Evil versus Jeff Cobb.
Evil versus who?
Jeff Cobb.
I thought you said something else. I'm
picking Evil for
I think we both agreed on Evil.
And then Mark Davis versus Will Ospreay. That's going to be Will Ospreay, I think.
Yep. Great match. That's one I'm looking forward to.
And then on the 15th, we got David Finlay against Great O'Khan, and I'm picking David Finlay.
You would think, right? And here's the thing. O'Khan still hasn't gotten what I think is that definitive win. And it's just Finlay's just put in a spot to take off. So, yeah, you got to go Finlay on this one.
Then we got Zach versus Shota Umino, and I'm picking Shota here, but you...
Yeah, I still think Zach, but I could see your thought process on that, and it makes sense, but I don't think Zach's the guy. I think Zach wins.
Then on the 17th, we got Sanada versus Naito. For that, I am picking Sanada.
Phew. Fuck. No, I'm going Naito. Fingers crossed.
And then it would be Evil against Will Ospreay. So for that, I would pick Ospreay.
I think Ospreay. What if it's Naito Ospreay?
Yeah, I mean, that would be coming up on the 19th. Okay. So on the 17th, it would be Sanada versus Naito, and then either Jeff Cobb or Evil against Will Ospreay. So we both picked Evil. So
right.
As per our predictions, on the 17th, it would be Evil versus Ospreay.
You excited by that?
Look, if anyone is going to drag Evil kicking and screaming to a good match, it's going to be Will Ospreay. So he is going to try his damnedest. So I don't know, man. Like the House of Torture has been, I think it's been injected with a bit more spice since the vocal crowds have come back. The narrator match didn't quite land, but I see that as an anomaly rather than me saying, throw Evil in the bin. Evil Ospreay could be fun. And again, if anyone's going to try and make it interesting, it's going to be Will Ospreay.
Yeah. I mean, you do have the big power guy.
They've wrestled each other, have they?
I don't think they have. I was going to ask. I don't think they've ever had a singles match, have they?
Let me check. Evil versus Will Ospreay. I don't think House of Torture Evil has crossed paths with Will Ospreay.
I don't think they've ever had a singles match.
Let's have a look. Evil versus Will Ospreay.
Right.
We want singles matches.
We sure do.
Match Constellation. Only singles matches. Here we go. One match in 2019.
Oh.
And that was in the G1.
Okay.
So since Ospreay has joined United Empire and Evil has joined House of Torture, no. So this was LIJ Evil against Chaos Will Ospreay.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I mean, it's a somewhat fresh match. 2019. That wasn't yesterday. And both guys are pretty different. I don't know. Maybe it will be good. Power guy, Will doing all his fucking nonsense, and all right. Let's see. I mean, I'm not going to fucking hand wave it, but okay. Let's give it a shot. Will Evil. Let's go.
And who's winning?
Will.
Okay. And then 18th, we've got Goto versus Tamatonga. I picked Tama for that, and you picked Goto. You standing by that?
Yeah, I'm standing by that.
And then the next match would be the winner of Finlay, Great O'Khan versus the winner of Shota and Zach. So I have that as Finlay versus Shota, and I will say Finlay to win.
Yeah, I would say Finlay to win, but I have Zach, which I don't necessarily love, but yeah, I'll go Finlay.
Okay, then on the 19th, it would be the winner of Sanada Naito versus the winner of the Evil Cobb Davis Ospreay quartet. So, as per my pick, that would be Sanada versus Ospreay, and I'll pick Sanada to win that because if I think recent history, Ospreay has eliminated Sanada from the New Japan Cup quite a few times. So I think this is Sanada getting his New Japan Cup win back. So I have that as Sanada versus Ospreay with Sanada winning. And you have it as Naito Ospreay?
Yeah.
Who's your winner?
Ospreay.
Ospreay going all the way to the final with Damon. And then the other semi-final would be the winner of Goto or Tama Tonga versus the winner of the Finlay, Great Khan, Shota, Zach quartet.
Yep.
So for me, that would be Tama Tonga versus Finlay, and I would have Finlay winning. I think let's have Finlay going to the final. Why not? Let's go big or go home. For you, it would be
Goto.
The semi-final of Goto versus Finlay as well, right?
Yep. And I think Finlay makes it to the finals.
Right, so I have got a Sanada Finlay final. You've got an Ospreay Finlay final.
Yes.
All right.
What do you think?
Wait and see. I can see that. I mean, they've got history together.
They do.
Didn't Ospreay eliminate Finlay from a semi-final a couple of years ago? Am I remembering that right?
I don't know. I don't know what I have for breakfast, dude. Do you want me to? I can't remember.
I can see that. But actually, you know what? I actually quite like that. I like Ospreay Finlay. I think that will be a really exciting match.
Right.
Really quite a dynamic and dramatic final, but with different sort of power dynamics based on the last time when it was they met. I think it was a semi-final. Obviously, Finlay was still a babyface then. But
would that be the first? Or and again, I have very difficult times remembering sometimes. Would that be the first New Japan Cup where it's there's no Japanese representation in the finals?
Oh yeah, we're going to get cancelled, Damon.
Are we? Why?
No, I'm joking. No, I'm being silly. But of course, I forgot the fact that Ospreay and Finlay wrestled each other for the US title at the back end of last year.
True.
So yeah, they do have recent history together. But I can't think of a final that was two foreigners against each other.
Man, that'd be something.
So when Ospreay won, he was against. Who did he face in the final? Was it Ibushi? And then Zach, when he's won his two finals, that was against Tanahashi the first time and Naito the second time.
Yeah, I do that. Yeah.
Taking the Japan out of the New Japan.
Yeah.
The New Japan Cup.
Yeah. Well, listen, we're a Western-based New Japan Pro Wrestling podcast. That's what we do. Oh,
right,
silly.
Well, Damon, you're sticking your colours to the wall and you're saying a Ospreay Finlay final. I'm saying Sanada Finlay final. So when you next hear from us, listeners, next week, you're going to see both of us being incorrect as we have a Tetsuya Naito versus Shota Umino final to look forward to. So,
certainly.
Look forward to that.
No doubt.
All right. That's all from me. It's bedtime. redcircle.com/shows/super-j-cast. Discord link you can get it by sending me a direct message on Twitter. Sorry if I keep bumping the microphone because Esther is now sitting on my lap, wriggling around a lot. At Cobra Kawaii and ProWrestlingTees.com/super-j-cast. Big thank you to Editor Dan, who you can find on Twitter at LousyHero9. Subscribe to the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network for other great shows. Give us a 5-snake review on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter at the Super J-Cast. Wish Esther and Mally a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Esther.
Happy birthday.
How old are you today?
3 years old.
Yeah, we had an argument yesterday because I was telling her she was 3 years old and she's going, no, 5 years old.
I saw that.
But I've won. She's relented and she's accepted that she's 3. So score 1 for Joel. Another victory lap for me. Thank you everyone for listening and goodbye.
So, how does it feel when you play Roll Up to Win with Tim Hortons? Buy a hot or cold beverage using the Tim's app and find out. Roll in the app for a chance to win prizes ranging from free coffee and donuts to a Universal Orlando resort vacation or a sweet car. Oh, don't forget the TV. And this year, every roll is a shot at a $1,000 daily giveaway drawing for 2 $500 prizes. Roll up to win and get treated by Tim's. No purchase necessary. Account registration required. 50 U.S. and D.C. 18 plus entered by 4/2/23. See rules at rolluptowin.com for free entry and full details. Void in Florida and where prohibited.
Everyone loves TV Dad.
On the next TV Dad, presented by Progressive, TV Dad gets us through heartache.
Chin up, sport.
Oh, hey, TV Dad.
You know what heals all wounds?
Time?
No, it's remembering that drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds.
But Jen still doesn't want to be with me.
True. I actually saw her with your friend Brian earlier.
Wait, what?
Listen to your TV Dad. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary.
Hi, I'm Case Lowe, co-host of the Open the Voice Gate podcast. The one question I'm constantly asked when it comes to Dragon Gate is, how do I get into the promotion? Well, stop asking and start listening to the Open the Voice Gate podcast, released every Wednesday on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. For exclusive news and show reviews, look no further than the leader in Dragon Gate coverage, Open the Voice Gate.
Hey kids, do you like wrestling? Well, we like wrestling too. We are Shake Them Ropes here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Myself and Chris Novembrino kind of doing a lazy river of wrestling criticism, going through the news and whatever happened in stateside television wrestling. And also, you know what? Sometimes we just like to watch old stuff and talk about that too. Love for you to give us a listen. If you haven't already, we are Shake Them Ropes here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network.